Hello, and welcome to the Surging Forward broadcast, where we're helping you to have a positive view in a negative world. My name is David Valentine, and I'm here to help you see the value in the job you do and how you can keep surging forward. Well, hello, and welcome to the Surging Forward podcast. This is episode number 52, and we have a fantastic show today. But before we get to the show, I just want to make sure I say welcome to all of the new listeners out here to the Surging Forward podcast. I want to say welcome to all of you that are helping me spread the word about how we can help others continue to keep surging forward. My friends, that's what it's all about. And today is going to be such a great show. I'm so excited about this episode as we close out our first year. It's been such a great honor this past year to be doing this show. And today we're talking to a great guest that I was able to get on the show. And, he just inspired me from the beginning. And the funny thing is, we didn't even know each other. And so we kind of went off on each other, helping each other just keep that motivation going. So again, I want to thank each one of y'all for the encouragement that you've given me. And, as we're going to continue to keep surging forward. So just keep spreading the word and getting it out there. And those of you that want to find out more, hey, you can check me out on the Surging Forward podcast. And you could also check me out at www.surgingforward.com for tradesmen that kind of need some of the new courses or whatever the case you may need. But if you enjoyed this show, do me a favor, just take a minute and leave us a review on iTunes or just leave us a comment on the website too. I do get a lot of emails. I want to thank you for that. And those of you that want to continue emailing me, that's great. Those of you that follow me on the Facebook page, that is even more fantastic. And again, continue to send me the information on that too. I'm learning the Facebook and I'm actually doing the little direct message thing. And a lot of you guys get a hold of me that way. But, that's kind of the private thing. But if you put a comment out there, that just helps other people see it. And it kind of helps me rank a little bit more in iTunes. So feel free to keep spreading the word and just help me get that word out for others out there. But without further ado, I want to introduce our next guest. His name is David Rubalcava. He actually has his own podcast where he talks about Awaken the Leader. He has such a passion for developing new leaders. And he just always aspires to help new leaders understand how to succeed in business and their careers. And he just inspires his leaders with such passion. But he's very open as he shares his setbacks, staying objective, empowerment, and building confidence by just nurturing you to make that decision. He's been in business management for over 17 years, and his leadership experience in the big box retailers is just unmatched. He's operated stores ranging from $3 million to $55 million throughout his career, and he has an extensive building high-performance teams. But he shares that experience with such passion as he puts his views out on YouTube, and he's not afraid to show the inner struggles that we all deal with. So he's recently a writer, he's a vlogger, and he does his own podcast, again, called Awaken the Leader. So he's a leader, motivator, husband, father of 5. I don't know. I can go on and on and on. But David and I have finally hooked up for this interview. And I think you're really going to like this. So I really hope that you enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to the comments that I get back. And this is kind of the reasons I said before. I'd love for you to share these comments online so that they get put out. Because I know a lot of you guys usually just kind of DM me and stuff. So I'm looking forward to this leadership. So without further ado, just sit back, relax, and listen to this great leader as we share some of the experiences, and you'll find out how much we both have in common, which I find is amazing. So, welcome, and hope you enjoy the show. So here's the interview. Have a great one. Well, hey, Dave. How you doing? And welcome to the Surging Forward podcast. I know we've been trying to hook together for a long time here.
Right.
How's things going?
Going good, man. But Dave, I just want to give you some shout out right off the bat because Right when I was beginning with my own podcast, I think you're one of the first people to reach out to me in Twitter and just give me words of encouragement. I know your podcast was still new, and, to watch you evolve has been really, really cool. But, I'm doing good, staying busy, trying to help, leaders grow, share some insight to what's happening and how to overcome a lot of challenges. But it's been busy. It's been, just juggling full-time job, the podcast. We started webisodes now, and the kids. It's been challenging.
It's a challenge. But I tell you what, well, you and I kind of came on the scene about the same time, if I remember right, wasn't it? It was,
right.
That's what we met was on Twitter. That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
And I tell you, that is a tough thing. You have to be on the, staying up with all the little things going on. And I actually did an episode. I forgot what episode number it is. I'd have to go back and look. I'm not an expert like some of these other ones. But I actually did an episode on social media. And I am by far an expert, but a lot of people aren't using social media the way it needs to. And so I just got on Twitter, and I've been trying to encourage a lot of the tradesmen on our end to get on Twitter. And so that's why I'm excited about this interview, because what I like about, hearing you talk in your interviews is that you're over in California area, aren't you?
Right. California. Okay. Right.
Wow. So we're on opposite sides, and yet we say a lot of the same message. And that's what I want to put out to some guys. The message, it doesn't change no matter where you're at. And that's what I see. But yet success does not just look for you and knock on your door,
Right.
You have to do what? You have to go get it, right?
Yeah. I wish it was that easy. Yeah. You got to go out there and do what it takes to be successful, do what it takes to get the job done. And
Right.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
So what motivated you to start doing your show, Awaken the Leader? What does that mean? Where does that come from? Where did you come up with the title for that?
You know what? Well, I'll tell you where it originated. The name that I came up with, I had to kind of figure out. But, I have children. I have 5 children, blended family, between me and my wife. But one day I was thinking, I want to leave something for them. What if something happens to me? What if something, heaven forbid, something happens to me, that I can leave them a roadmap of how to be successful, how to overcome obstacles, and how to find themselves. And it kind of evolved from there. And, I always share this with people that at work, I help about 5 leaders every year grow, develop, get promoted. I've had a lot of promotions, especially this last year, with people getting promoted to, store leaders and all this stuff. And it just dawned on me that what if I can help 500? What if I could help 5,000? And when I was thinking about the name of the podcast, I had to think of something that really, really, struck a chord with the audience. And I knew that for myself, I had to dig deep to find my leadership inside. I had to, overcome a lot of hardships and a lot of failures, which I share a lot of that with my team and even on the podcast. But I knew I had to unlock something within. And I came to realize that's what I'm trying to do every day with my leaders and with these podcasts, is to help people unlock that leadership potential that's within them. And that kind of led to the title. I was like, hey, this sounds like a good fit. And that's where it came from. So
now, and again, this is something that I get a lot of times, and this is a question I was thinking about this question, and I was going to talk to you about it beforehand. But what I get from a lot of the guys in our industry, like in the construction trade, they don't like to teach other people. And I noticed a big thing that you said, you train leaders and you see them get promoted. Does that upset you when somebody gets promoted? What are they going to do? They're going to take your job. What if they take your job? I mean, people have that attitude, believe it or not. So why would you want to help somebody else?
It's interesting. If you look at being successful in any capacity, whether it's business, any environment, it's about people. I mean, really everything comes down to being a people orientated. And you have to invest in people. And I wasn't always on that side, Dave. I was kind of like operational driven. I didn't really care if I hurt people's feelings sometimes. But I came to realize that there was never any consistency in what I did, because I was constantly having turnover. I was constantly losing people, because you know what? They didn't want to work for me. And they weren't successful because of it. And I came to realize that in order to build amazing teams and that's ultimately what's going to impact your career, because as a leader, you're evaluated through your team's execution, is that you got to invest in people. And I think I spent the last maybe 7 or 8 years trying to figure out that. It's like, what does that mean? Like, how do I develop people? What am I trying to teach them? Am I trying to just teach them operational things? But really what I learned the most critical is to empower them to make decisions and be solution orientated, because once you get past that hurdle, they start to make decisions on their own. And that's when you start to execute at a high level. So for me, when you look at your teams executing at a high level, I'm going to be successful. My stores are going to be successful because I invested the time, and on the back end is where success came, because we're just performing at a high level. So I'm looking at long term, and I think that's what a lot of people forget, is that they're looking at the short term inconvenience. Right. They're looking at
right there.
I'm being inconvenienced. I don't want to spend time. I have my own workload. I have things going on, but they forget that you're being, held back, or you continuously have hurdles because your team isn't developed to make decisions for you or on your behalf. And that's the key. I mean, that's the key to everything. Now, the reasons why that doesn't happen, that's where all the 7 values of leadership come into play, on my podcast, is there's a reason why we don't do these things, or there's a reason why our teams fail. Well, it's because of something about our leadership is either leading them to be successful or it's not. And that's kind of the real honest look at what I'm trying to share with my podcast. But that's kind of where it comes from.
That's a cool message. And that's a cool message. And, it was interesting. I saw the point that I really heard you really say was, so many people, and I don't think it's just in the construction trades, obviously it's in the retail too. People look at just the short term. They're looking like, what am I going to get out of this right now? I mean, I get guys sometimes in the trade, they come up to me all the time, they go, they've been in the trade for 2 years, and I go, wow, I just can't make enough money doing this. And I go, wow, there's guys making tons of money. Look at the big trucks that all these guys drive around. The nice houses. They're making good money. But you're not going to make it just after 2 years of, just kind of lolling out. You have to keep learning. Now, let me ask you this. When does your training stop? I mean, is there ever a point where you've arrived? Or
I don't, that's a great question. I don't think it ever stops, because I'm going to tell you this, as you go from level to level, especially for new leaders, as you get, comfortable and you start to execute, there's always going to be the next challenge. It's either going to be a new role, or I'll be honest with you, sometimes it's just the environment changes. So like for me, I was working in the store for a couple of years, and then I got moved to a brand new store, and I was performing at a high level at that previous store. And I had to actually reevaluate my leadership, because I recognized where this team is at and where I'm at. We're in 2 different places. So I'm going to have to reevaluate my own leadership.
Wow.
But I think if you're really searching to be honest about like what's holding you back, you're always going to evaluate your leadership, because you're either, growing people or growing, a team, or you're allowing, mediocrity when you get comfortable. And I don't think, all the years of success that I've had in my career, I don't think one day I've ever felt comfortable. I feel like I'm fighting for my job every day. And I think that mentality has kept me honest about my own performance. And I'll be the first one to say, yeah, I stink today. I didn't make it happen, or I didn't lead my team, or, I let them down, because I have a lot of self-accountability.
And that's another important factor too.
I don't think you ever stop.
That's good. Yeah. The self-accountability is something I think we're missing a lot of. And the same thing, I try to put it on those, it's like, we taught a leadership class not too long ago. It was that same type of thing, They're sitting at leaders, and I pointed out on the board, I went through that, you have a guy who's having this issues. He's not doing a good job. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. And then I go, whose responsibility is that? Almost half the class went, that person's fault. And I went, no, it's the leader's fault. You failed to train him. You failed to show him. When it comes a point, when you have to let somebody go, it's not because you wanted to fire that person. That person obviously didn't want to be there because he had so many opportunities, And so, but today they're just so quick to blame, other people instead of putting the finger back. And so it's a big responsibility. So,
Yeah.
So as far as doing the podcast now, how is that helping you in your leadership, as far as influencing others?
Yeah, it's really interesting because when I start talking about certain topics or, I think lately, situations are actually, influencing my podcast because it's real world. But I think it helps me try to remember what it's like to be on the other side, and I don't know if that makes sense, but I've been a leader. Absolutely. Yeah, I've been a leader for about 17 years in different roles, different companies, different, retail, social service, a lot of different places. But it makes me try to see it through their lens. And so as I'm reflecting, that's why I like to share a lot. I like to share a lot of my hardships and failures because I have to try to remember what it's like, because some things they've never experienced, some things that we've been exposed to as leaders, it's normal for us. It's normal, but it's not to them. And so to keep it honest, I have to really try to see it through their lens. But that's always been my leadership style anyways. I want to see it through their lens so that I can understand their perception of leadership and their perception of what success is. And then I can try to find a way to kind of, connect and get on the same path together. And, it's not easy though. But I try to.
So with that said, again, I think when I opened up, we just started talking, we don't always find success knocking at the door. We have to go out and find it. So what's been one of the most difficult challenges that you've had to overcome when you're trying to find your leadership?
I think for me, it was probably in the early stages, and I share it a lot. The first 4 years of me being, an assistant store leader, and that's kind of when I really got exposed to the real leadership, where you're being held accountable, or you're being responsible for, a $35 million building. Yeah, and they weren't so nice about challenging when I was failing. But I think the hardest part was being honest and being objective and taking feedback. That was probably, because I think for a lot of people, we take it personal. Like we take it that if today, I'm failing, that man, David is just horrible. He's a horrible person. And we take it very personal versus, okay, I got to get better. What can I do differently? And when you start to adapt to that type of thought process of how do I get better? How can I reevaluate? Or how can I actually just listen and hear the feedback? Because ultimately they don't have to give you feedback. They can just fire you, So I always take it as a gift. Somebody once told me, like, I'm going to give you a gift. And then they let me have it. I'm like, that wasn't a good gift. You can take it back. But, it's being honest about it. And that's probably been the biggest challenge in the early stages of my career, is just being honest. But once I got past that, that's when my career exploded. That's when I started getting promoted. I mean, within a year, the next year. I mean, it seemed like almost every year something was happening to me. And that hasn't changed. Even in the company I'm in now, it hasn't changed. So, being honest with yourself is probably the most challenging thing.
And the integrity,
especially in the beginning.
And the integrity helps out in that issue. People see that too, and they feel like that there's a difference, and something makes a difference. So, and you also, when you're that type of leader, do you find people are more willing to work with you instead of against you? I mean, that's kind of like what I've always tried to teach them. I mean, you've got the guy that's like bam, 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 overpowering. And then you got the other guy that tries to help promote, like what you were saying. Yeah. And those are the ones that will follow with you instead of working against you. That's what I see a lot of it. So,
I think the way that I see it is that it's, I'm not looking at promotions or anything like that. I'm looking at how do I help you get better? And because I think the end result becomes the promotion. So that's like the end goal. It's going to happen naturally, organically, as you get more and more comfortable as a leader and you get stronger and more confident. I think that spending time with people and just making the effort to help them grow has been my focus. And so I don't know if that answered your question or not, but
yeah, it does. And it does. And that's what makes a big difference. So with you becoming a leader, who's if you have exactly one person or a group of people or what in circumstances, what's the biggest thing that's actually encouraged you to be a leader, and how did that change your life?
Yeah, I think it's kind of all in that same first couple years. Right before I got promoted, I had a guy, store leader, his name's Ray Tier, and he just believed in me. And I don't think at that point in my career, I was in my early 20s, I didn't know much about anything. At least looking back, I didn't. I thought I did, yeah, but I didn't.
Thought we did.
Yeah. And, but you know what? He told me something, and he just told me like 4 simple words. I believe in you. And I'm like, me? I don't know nothing. I believe in you. You're going to go and train these 50, associates to learn to unload a trailer. I'm like, I've never unloaded a trailer in my entire life, but he trusted me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to work really hard for him. I don't really know if I'm going to do the right thing, but him telling me that he believed in me, that was enough. And ultimately, this same store leader is the person that helped me promote to an assistant. And he sat me down one day and he said, you know what? He was giving me a lecture about accountability and all this other stuff that I had never heard before. So I didn't know what he was talking about. And, he said, there's going to come a day that you're going to be on the other end of this conversation. And I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about. I just nodded my head. Yeah. Okay. All right, Ray, you got it, man.
Yeah. Sure.
And ironically, 5, 6 years later, that's exactly where I've been sitting, is on the other side, teaching and coaching and mentoring. So he had a huge impact. I haven't heard from him. I tried looking him up, haven't seen him, on social media, but, he definitely gave me the courage, to put myself out there. And he was the one that said, you got something special in
this podcast.
Yeah.
We'll reach out to you.
Yeah. I hope
and that's
so.
important. We all have, leaders like that have influenced our lives, and who knows? And I call it planting the seeds. You never know who you're making a difference is. And so that's what's important. So where do you plan to go with Awaken the Leader? I mean, where do you plan to go with your website? And, what are some of the goals that you're looking at going to be making?
Yeah, when I started this journey, I just kind of wanted to share, things about leadership, but I've come to realize, I want to do more. I want to connect with people. I want to, speak in front of people. I want to help people. And, the website is a great kind of resource for people, but I want to be out in the field. I want to, have seminars. And I think I heard you, Dave, mention that you wanted to do a book. I'd love to do a book somewhere down the road.
Oh boy, you just reminded me. Summer's going by real fast.
I think you committed to this year. I don't remember, but,
yeah, it was.
Right? I think it was this year. But I just want to help people in any capacity. So I'm hoping to grow the podcast following, grow the YouTube channel, and, just keep sharing. And like I said, I started these webisodes, so people can kind of see the behind the scenes, so you can see my journey. And honestly, I don't even know where it's going right now. I just know that it's going. And
that's what the cool thing about it. And that's what's so neat about it, because I think people in today's society, they fear the unknown so much that they like to stay in their little sheltered, secure spot, only to find out after they're in there for a while, it's not as secure as they thought it was in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
I see that so much in the venture there. So eventually you're hoping to be able to get some seminars out and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I say, and there's a lot out there for that too. With developing the website and courses and stuff like that. And there's definitely a need for that, because there's such a lacking. And I love your title, Awaken the Leader Inside. That is, because leaders are not born, correct me if I'm wrong, leaders are not born, they are made,
Absolutely.
In order for them to be made, the person has to be able to listen and be able to get the resources. There's so much out there. And so when you get to the ninth level, so where does your family involve in? I know you bring your family in this a lot too. You talk a lot about family and different things like that. So that's something very valuable then right now?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty cool. I think my family has watched this journey, and I told my wife, I think it's been almost a year since I kind of sat down and wrote on a pen. I'm saying, hey, I'm going to build this website. I'm going to do this, and she's like, yeah, whatever. You're crazy. But yeah, exactly. And so to see what's happening now, I think, and just having their support, it's such a cool thing. And then, sometimes I incorporate them into things with me too, or they started filming with me and the kids are getting involved. So it's almost become like a family kind of adventure. And so they're getting used to seeing cameras and all the stuff. So it's been super cool just to have their support and to have them by my side. And I think they're my biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I needed. And also, we get to spend a little more time. It's tough juggling all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So to have, us being able to do it, together, how can you beat that?
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Well, I think, like I say, as we get close to wrapping up, what is it, like I say, the audience that we reach, and again, your message is just right on tee with the same thing that I try to put out. And again, what I try to want to relate to my audience, it doesn't matter whether you're, and I said on mine, it doesn't matter if you're in retail, it doesn't matter if you're in construction, it doesn't matter if you work as a bank teller, work at McDonald's, Burger King, whatever, fast food. It doesn't matter what career you're in. The leadership values are the same. So, what would you tell, as we get ready to close up, what would you tell each one of those, whatever your career is at, and I happen to be listening to this for the first time, what can I do to better myself? I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't even have a high school education. I'm working hard on my job, I'm at a dead-end job. I'm 28 years old. I have no idea where to go. What can I do?
I would just be honest. I would say, you know what? You have to be honest with your situation. You have to be honest with what talents you have. You have to be honest about what's holding you back. And, for a lot of us, it's time and there's variables and families and whatever. But if you want to be really honest about being successful and what it takes, you're going to have to make hard decisions in life. I think I had to do that. I had to make decisions about careers. I had to make decisions about focusing on myself, not only on a professional level, but on a personal level, to figure out and sort out all the noise. See, to me, everything that distracts you from being successful, that's what I call noise. And it comes in so many different forms from, family, friends, jobs,
TV,
exactly, podcasts, I don't know, but,
well, there's a podcast you can listen to while you're driving.
Exactly.
Good at it. But there are some crazy podcasts out there too. I found that out.
That's very true. And just to be honest, to reevaluate, what's holding you back. And with, like you said, leadership is built. Everything that's happened to me in my life, all the great things that have happened have come through me, sacrificing, and growing as a leader. And it's led to all of these amazing things in my life. But the hardships were real. I had to fight for, my careers that time. I had to fight for things but I had sharp focus. And I think that is probably the most challenging thing, is that you're going to have to really sharpen your focus and go after whatever's holding you back. You're going to have to remove obstacles that are in front of you, but you can do it. And there's so many people out there that have done it. There's so many people that have overcome challenges, that are even hard to even understand how they overcame that, but they do it. And so it's your will set. That's what has to change. Your will set to find success has to change. And somebody once told me, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, right?
And expecting
you're gonna have, exactly. You're gonna have to be uncomfortable and do something different.
Yep.
And that's what I've done. I think I just mentioned it earlier. I don't think I've ever felt comfortable. It kept me honest to keep pushing myself, to find success and to grow as a leader.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And again, it's one of those things, and to tell, those that are listening to your show and those that are listening to my show, the opportunities are endless out there. I mean, we have so much, nowadays, you grew up in a time too. It's hard to believe Google's only been around for 12, 13 years. I can remember the days of going to the library and reading tons of books, trying to figure out how to do something, just because I didn't know how to do it. And so now you just do a search and you can find it. So you can learn anything you want, which is a fabulous thing, you know? I mean, just like, you know, just like us guys trying to figure out how to do social media and all this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
And we've picked up a lot over the past year or so. So, but again, Dave, I want to say thanks for being on the show.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Before we sign off, I want to say, where can guys go to pick up your show and YouTube channel? If you can give that out, and also put the links up on my website.
Yep.
And my website's kind of a work in progress on my podcast one. I mean, my one website's fine, but my podcast one, I'm still working on it. I'm still learning how to do the WordPress stuff. But I'm going to put the links up there. So where can guys go to find out more and follow you and keep track of stuff on Twitter or wherever it happens to be?
The easiest place is probably just to go to my website, Awaken the Leader Inside, and it's connected to everything. You'll see iTunes on there. You can listen to podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube. You'll see all my social media links there too. Or you could search for me on, you know, Twitter, Facebook under Awaken the Leader. You know, but I appreciate it, Dave. I appreciate you making the time, you know, for me to be here.
No problem. We've been trying to hook up for a while. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You know, I appreciate all your encouragement too, because I think it's one of those things you and I kind of saw at the first beginning, and yet going the same path, and we've both met so many cool people online and seeing it going together.
Absolutely.
So I want to say thanks for all your encouragement also. So, so again, we're going to go ahead and sign off, and I, you know, wish you all the blessings and blessings on your family. And for those of you listening, make sure you check out the website, Awaken the Leader. I've always talked about different podcasts to listen to, and I know I've mentioned it before. But again, the cool thing about podcasts, guys, is you can listen to episodes in the past. I mean, they're all on there. And I'm going to tell you, it's a lot better than listening to the newscast stuff. And it's all fake news anyway. It's just all phony. This is real stuff that's going to make a difference in your life. I mean, there's not a whole lot we're going to do to change the country, no matter what your opinions are, guys. And I hear them constantly with you guys out there. But make a difference in your life. Make that change and take a step forward and take advantage of the free education that's out there. There's a lot of free stuff. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars. Just listen to Awaken the Leader. You listen to Dave here on his podcast, and you go listen and just apply one thing in your life on the podcast. And listen to another podcast and apply one thing. And you'll see that change, and the people around you will see that difference also. So again, I want to say, I want everybody out there to stay safe and have a great day and keep surging forward. Take care, my friends. Surging forward. Take care. God bless. You all have a great one. Bye-bye.